All right, so I got this website called clusternews.net, and basically because my novel series is called The Cluster, but also because the word cluster has taken on a very relevant meaning in public discourse and in the news as it pertains to the outbreak of the coronavirus. And I also got it because I live in Seattle, and it's been kind of the epicenter of the outbreak here in the United States. Also, I'm a lawyer, so I look at things differently, risk differently than just your average person. And I'm interested in the facts that are available on this particular virus. And so I've been doing a lot of reading and studying. There's a great site, Johns Hopkins University has a global cases kind of site, a graphic that I've been looking at and noting the changes. And it goes, continent by continent, country by country, city by city, and updates it and gives kind of just a factual depiction of the situation on the planet as it pertains to this, coronavirus. So, but there's a lot of misinformation, it seems to me. On Facebook you hear a lot of stuff. There's a lot of comments made on Facebook, just in my little universe of Facebook. Last weekend I went and visited two couples, and I was interested to hear kind of what they said. That was last weekend. And in both cases they were divided as far as their own estimation of the risk and their amount of worry. And the first couple that I visited, the man was, he made a rule. You come into this house, you're gonna, sanitize your hands. Everybody, that's a rule. He has a big thing of hand sanitizer right near the door, and you come over, you're gonna sanitize your hands. He already had multiple pairs of protective gloves, masks, and was pretty much convinced that this was going to be a big deal. His girlfriend, on the other hand, wasn't as worried. Then I went to this other couple's house, and in that situation, the wife was more worried than the husband. The husband was kind of one of those people that's, basically, the flu kills a lot of people every year, and kind of comparing the coronavirus to the flu and the statistics there. She was a little more concerned. He's going to travel. She's thinking about canceling traveling plans. So this just, and they live out in Pierce County. So, but you see a lot of different opinions on Facebook, and you hear, people talking in kind of a different way about it. Well, here in Seattle, the University of Washington's going online. The high schools have been closed down. I mean, it's a very significant change in behavior, all right at the very beginning of whatever it is that's going to happen with this coronavirus here in Washington State. And of course, the same thing is happening everywhere. But I go to this Johns Hopkins University website to look at just the bare statistics, just the raw data. And like, for instance, I'm looking now at King County. It's March 7th. It's quarter after 3 p.m. March 7th, 2020. 71 confirmed cases in King County. 15 deaths. One person has recovered, and there's 55 active cases. That's the statistics out of King County. That's just one county. And total confirmed cases worldwide, 105,820 as of right now. 58,354 have recovered of that number. 3,558 people have died. And so, and it has a breakdown of, you know, where every country, every city. It's just raw information. Of course, and you know, if you read the paper, Seattle Times has good information. Uh, the thing that strikes me is that, you know, they say if you're over 60 or if you have underlying health conditions, you should stay home. What I'd like to know is, you know, they're basically saying that, you know, the deaths from this thing are from high-risk groups, age, underlying health conditions. What I'd like to know is how many healthy people, how many young people, you know, how possible is it? What kind of statistics apply to your chances of getting very, very ill or dying if you're young and in great shape, for instance? No underlying health conditions, and you're not over 60. You're 35, you're 38, you know. I mean, there's a because this thing is affecting different age groups and different people in different ways, everybody's going to have a different kind of opinion as to what the risk is. If I'm a 35-year-old healthy male living in Spokane, you know, I'm going to say, hey, doesn't seem to be a big problem to me. If I'm a 80-year-old living in a nursing home in King County or Pierce County in Washington or any other place, New York, Florida, sooner or later this is going to be, you know, relevant everywhere, and everyone's going to have a different opinion, but how much of that opinion is based on your own personal risk? And so somebody says on Facebook, this isn't a big deal. Well, maybe for you it isn't, but what about that 80-year-old woman who is on your Facebook page or hearing that from somebody? It's a whole different story. So anyway, I was, you know, I got the clusternews.net as a website. It's going to pertain both to my novel series and because I'm in Seattle. I just happen to be in Seattle, and this is right now the epicenter in America of the outbreak. I thought that maybe I could have some commentary as well on what's going on here and my thoughts just as a citizen and as a, you know, halfway intelligent person who just looking at everything. I know one thing, when I've gotten the flu in the past, there's been times I've gotten the flu, just a regular flu, and it's just made me sick as a dog. When I went to Finland with my daughter a few years ago, I got sick before I left, and man, I tell you, it was just horrible. When I got to Finland, I spent 48 hours just laying in bed. It was miserable, and that was the flu. And a lot of times when I've gotten the flu, it's been, especially as I've gotten older, it can be a real drag to get sick just from the flu. I mean, you feel like you're going to die. Well, this particular virus, they don't understand exactly how it affects the body yet. There's a lot of information that they have yet to determine, and so the jury's kind of still out on what the facts are. And so it's going to unfold. It's going to get interesting, in my opinion. And I think that I don't think there's hysteria. Sure, there's going to be people that overreact. Sure, there's going to be people that are paranoid. There's people that never leave their homes anyway, right? There's going to be hysteria. There's going to be a lot of fear and anxiety. But you got to think of it in terms of who you are. You know, I don't blame older people who are, you know, wondering, you know, is this like a death sentence if I get it? If I'm, you know, 70 years old and I don't feel all that great anyway in my normal everyday life, you know. It's not a time to be in denial, and it's not a time to have, you know, hysteria. It's a time to get facts and to look at it reasonably and to understand that everybody's gonna have a different risk profile with respect to this particular thing or any sickness, right? I mean, that's just the reality. So clusternews.net is where I'm going to post this. Thanks for listening.